Everybody, we're going to get started here in just about another minute. The Empowered Archetypes. Be back in just a moment. All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Let me get the music down here. Little medieval queen lover kind of conversations. Hey, everybody. My name is Sean Murphy. I will be your host for the next 90 minutes or so. Yesterday went 2 hours talking about the disempowered archetypes. I wanted to finish it up so that they were all in the same area for you. This conversation today is about the empowered archetypes. Let me just review a little bit about what the archetypes are and why they're so valuable to your wealth. Now, you can think wealth is money, and it is, but this is about wealth in all areas of your life: body, mind, family, finance, society, right? Faith, if that's a part of your world. The challenge is that we seem to have so much distraction in our life that we are busy little bees and beavers doing things, and we're really not producing the results that we want. Right? One of the things in the books that we talk about, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, Wallace D. Wattles' Science of Getting Rich, One of the first things is to understand that there's a formless substance. And in this formless substance, we throw our desire. We throw into this cauldron of possibility all of the things that we want. And we can sometimes sit down. We will take time and we will sit down and we will get very clear on what we want in the next year or 5 years or 10 years. One of the things Tony Robbins says is we overestimate what we can do in a year. We underestimate what we can do in a decade. So at the end of this, I'm going to offer you 3 different programs on the archetypes. The general walk through the understanding, kind of do all of the work on your own. The mid-level, where you start to get some customization, and then the VIP one-on-one version, where you will truly understand the power of your archetypes, understand which one is the dominant in you, and understand why you act and operate the way that you do, and why you resist change the way that you do, and how you can overcome that through dual talk, nest program, self-talk, EFT, all of those value-added services that I've been providing for quite some time. So with that being said, today we're going to be talking, yesterday we spent 2 hours talking about the disempowered. What does it mean when your lover is disempowered? How are you hurting yourself? How are you hurting others? How are you disengaging from your success? We talked about the disempowered sovereign, how you're not making decisions and you're leaving the kingdom to, what do they say? The inmates are ruling the prison, and you let all of these different thoughts and ideas, and you just have given up control. We talked about the wounded warrior, the disempowered warrior. Warrior is the one of discipline, of force, of actions, of determining the plan and setting out and working towards a goal of taking that mountain and getting that goal. And if you're disempowered, you wind up becoming sarcastic. You wind up becoming disenfranchised, and you no longer have the discipline. So we vary from all of these. The disempowered magician, right? If you know somebody who uses sarcasm a lot, that's a disempowered magician. So yeah, that's a 2-hour video that's available to you for you to watch for probably the next 48 hours. Then it'll be a package. This is a program. This is an in-depth 4 hours or maybe 3.5 hours of content. It's a valuable program. So that's available for you to watch at no fee. It's on YouTube. Go into the live section under me and you'll see me there. So let's dive in. Good afternoon, everybody. Let's dive into the empowered versions of our archetypes. Y'all ready? If y'all ready, type a 1 in the chat. Let's see. Who do I begin with? Let's do the warrior, since that's where most of us operate out of. So let me put this into present mode over here. So fancy dancy I am. And then let's go share. Share screens. And we're over here. There's no sound, so we'll just share it. So right now you should be able to see the warrior archetype. Nod your head if you see that. Raise your hand. Okay, good. The warrior is the one where most of us are operating from. How do I know that? Because we've got gut issues.
Wait, do you guys see this? I don't see it.
Okay. Yeah, most everybody else sees it.
Okay.
You got it?
No, I just see you.
Okay, so we are in presentation mode. So if you see it, if you guys see it, just shout out, yes, you see it. Okay, I got thumbs up. Yep, everybody else is seeing it. So Michael, you must have something really powerful to hear about this because you can't see it.
Yeah, I'll figure this out.
Okay, cool.
I see it.
All right, there you go. So we embark on a journey to understand the warrior archetype. The warrior is exhausted for many people. This is why yesterday I started with the disempowered. Most of us are in that place. When we decide that we are going to empower this, one of the things that we, in other conversations about the archetypes, some of the things I've done is taken you on a meditative journey and had you flip the switches to turn on these different archetypes. This is energetic in nature. One of the things is to be very conscious of is that when you hear these archetypes, these philosophies, these possibilities, these potentials, these personalities, a lot of times people will disengage, go, well, I don't have a warrior. Listen, Hippocrates is the one that found out that we have 4 unique personalities. Now we have a blending of all of this, but the 4 primary unique personalities. And what he realized is of those 4 personalities, in order to heal somebody, he had to speak to their personality. That's where we get it. It's not from personal development or corporate desire to want to maximize profits and figure out who you are in the DISC system or the caliper system or the Myers-Briggs. That's all new stuff. When you want to understand yourself at a core philosophy, a core understanding, we've got to get medieval on ourselves. Literally. We are, if you know somebody, drop a 2 in the chat. If you know somebody who's tired of struggling and constantly needing to rebuild, and you just know this person and you know them and they're just exhausted, they no longer can do it, they don't want to do it anymore, and they're just tired, it's because they're not getting to the root of their challenge. So we're going to start with the empowered archetype called the warrior. So understanding where this takes us, and we need to understand, let me get something off here real quick. Where is it? Well, I can't seem to find it. So understanding the archetypes, these are universal patterns. The archetypes are innate. They're universal patterns. They're part of our psyche. They're part of our behavior. They're part of who we are and what we believe we have done. Carl Jung introduced the archetypes as part of a collective consciousness shared by all humans. And in order to go through the personal growth, one of the things that I've coined over the years is personal undevelopment. And in order to understand who we are, we have to undo this thing that we're just this one entity. I know you're not just one entity, because if you've ever gone to sleep at night and you go, I can't control my thoughts, I wish I could just relax. It just proves you're not your thoughts. There's other energies, there's other entities. If you've ever been around somebody, is there somebody who brings out the best in you? Is there somebody who might bring out the less than best in you? Then how did you, who are you then? Who are you? If there's somebody, personal reality, who can change your personality for the negative, and there's somebody over here, personal reality, who can change your personality for the better, who are you? Are you somebody in flux? Are you wanting to make sure that you finally, once and for all, grasp the power that you have available, the capacity that you have available, and the intensity with which you can put all of this together? So that's what we're talking about here. So now, let's go the other way. There we go. So the warrior's mindset. When you set a goal and you go, I'm going to reach this rank, I'm going to reach that volume in business, I'm going to do that much in sales, that's your warrior. Who implements it and how it gets implemented are the other archetypes as well. The key to understand is that the warrior's mindset is discipline. It's unwavering discipline. Discipline is the ability to continue to do the action long after the emotion of making the decision has gone away. They're action oriented. They will move into strategy. Right? They believe taking swift, decisive action. Could you imagine a warrior out on the battlefield going, I don't feel like fighting today. I don't feel like protecting my kingdom today. I don't want to hurt anybody today. That's not the warrior. That's the disempowered warrior. Now, somebody, I can hear it in their heads already. Well, if I become the warrior, am I going to just destroy everything? Warriors don't kill things. Warriors don't destroy things that don't need destroying. It is not the plunder and pillage and burn to the ground mentality. That's a different one. That's called aggression. Does that make sense? So the warrior has courage, head-on core tenet of the warrior's mindset, and purpose-driven. The warrior doesn't go into action unless it's given a purpose, unless it's given a direction. Otherwise, it's called what do we call somebody who goes off on their own and just does nilly-willy and you can't control them? We call that a rogue warrior. We're talking about disciplined, well-actioned, well-directed, well-oriented, truly focused kind of mindset. Does that make sense? So if that's the case, then one of the things is we have to understand where the warriors have been in culture. We have this understanding, right? The samurai, the knights of the medieval, the indigenous warriors, right? There are warriors who go out and they are the ones at the front of the line. When you decide that you're going to go after your goals, you've got to be the one in front of the line dealing with what? Procrastination, dealing with what? Distraction. The warrior is the one who has to deal with all of those kinds of scenarios. Here's the determination. What's the fuel of your warrior? They possess an iron will. How many of us have ever decided, I'm going to drink a gallon of water a day? And you do it for a day, 2 days, day 3, you're like, I'm not doing that anymore. That's not an iron will. That is a incision, not a decision. You kind of cut into it a little bit, but you didn't cut it off. You didn't cut off the opportunity to say, that's not even an option anymore. What happens if you activate? And in the course that I'll be doing for those of you that decide to participate, in the course, I will show you how to activate your warrior and keep it activated so that you have absolute discipline. You won't say maybe anymore. You won't say I don't know anymore. Those words are no longer part of your vocabulary. There's a resilience in the warrior. If you lose ground, you take it back right away. You take it back with force. And it's goal-oriented. What are you going to do each day? What are you going to do each hour? What are you going to do each week? You will set these goals on a regular basis so that you no longer have to wonder, well, what do I need to do? One of the things the warrior is very good at is learning to say no. Does that make sense? So what's the strategy of an empowered warrior? They have vision, right? They can see the soldiers see the battle in front of them. The warrior who guides them sees the victory. And the victory is in state. The warrior is one of the key aspects of you maintaining your state. Because if you decide that you want to win a battle, if you want to go to war and you want to reach a goal, you want to hit a target, 10,000 a month, 50,000 a month, whatever the number is. Here's the thing I know. God's got a sense of humor, but she really isn't going to give you the chance to have a goal and then go, there's no way you could ever do that. What would Napoleon say? If you can see it, believe it, you can achieve it. So we're going to help you with your vision. We're going to teach you tactical strategy thinking, how to get there faster with the least amount of effort, with the least amount of dead bodies on the side of the road. So you're not just absolutely willy-nilly crashing through things. And then leading by example. If you deal with people, if you have to influence others, not through social media, through helping with your income model. I happen to be a part of an income model, one of my income streams, network marketing, where I help people, leaders, top leaders, keep their teams aligned with a North Star. And the reason that people will follow the North Star is because the leader is leading by example. So next, it's about courage. You face the fears, take the risks, embrace challenges. Nothing really new there, except for the fact that most people won't face their fears, they won't take the risks, and they won't embrace their challenges. They know that they need to do it. They know that they know that they know that they know. They just don't. And what happens is because we've allowed the disempowered version of whichever one is stepping into that. This can be for all of the archetypes. The sovereign, the lover, the magician, or the warrior. Right now, we're focusing on the warrior. So what is the protector's role? Now, this is that energy. There's the you. There's the you that's watching this right now. There's the you that's now, because we're talking about the warrior, that's aware of the warrior, that's aware of this version of you, that's aware of this version that's the defender, the fighter? What about the one that's the protector? How many times have you challenged your own values? How many times has your work challenged your values? Jim Rohn said, never do a good deal with a bad person. How many times have you done good deals with bad ideas? Because you weren't protecting your values. You were looking for the short-term gain versus the long-term result. Does that make sense? So this is why it's so critical to understand the big, the huge, the chasm of difference between the empowered or the disempowered. They're shielding others. Now, sometimes, pay attention to this, sometimes we use our strength to protect others who can't defend themselves simply because it allows us to be busy. Oof. A protector will protect those who are part of their mission. There's some people who you can't protect no matter what. If I were to say, listen, if I were to protect you and I'd say, hey, listen, you go stand behind that tree, that building over there, and you choose to run out going crazy chicken with your head cut off through the field, attracting attention, I'm sorry, but I can't protect the one at the risk of the many. How many of you are protecting one crazy idea at the risk of your ultimate, your big ideas? Follow me? Don't confuse action with productivity. Guarding boundaries, warriors establish and maintain healthy boundaries for themselves and their communities. How many of you have some unhealthy boundaries right now that you're thinking, well, they'll get better? I can tell you they probably won't. So we're talking about the empowered warrior. It's also, you can learn more about the disempowered from watching the video from yesterday. But I want to touch on this idea of the shadow. Carl Jung talked about the shadow energies, doing shadow work. All too often, we don't want to have a conversation with that part of us that is a little bit less than positive, yet they reveal themselves on a regular basis. Misplaced anger. How many of us have gotten mad at somebody and they didn't deserve it? They were the one in front of us. That's a shadow version of your warrior. How about destructive force? Whether we break something, you ever throw a cup? Did you ever break a glass? Did you ever get mad at something and just, right? And loss of perspective. This is the biggest challenge, is that sometimes we get hung up here. Our aggression can blind our warrior to the consequences of our actions. If you're having to say, or maybe you need to say, and you're not saying, I'm sorry a lot, you might want to take some time and take a breath and understand that there's a part of you that's in revolt mode, that's not wanting to be present in the positive side. So you've got to just become aware of this. If you've ever told somebody, hey, listen, you're a little bit of a hothead, and they say, no, I'm not, and you know for a fact that they're a little bit of a hothead, and they say, no, I'm not. Are they being true? Are they not addicted to approval? Are they not misguided in their own understanding of themselves? So, what's going on here? This frees up. Maybe. Nope. Seems like it's going. Come on. Come on, baby. It seems like, let me just change this here. Stop share. Exit. Try this again. Technology. Okay, seems to be working. Let me put it back into share mode. It's not really that tough, is it? That's the whole desktop. We can do that. There we go. Give me a thumbs up if you can see that again, just making sure it should be there. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So misplaced anger, destructive force, loss of perspective, shadow rigidity. So this is where we become inflexible. A warrior by design goes for a target and kind of nothing gets in its way. That's not inflexibility. That's decision. That's focus. The challenge is when there's a better way. How many of us have ever been presented with a better way and we go, nah, I tried that, and you never tried it, right? Can prevent you from adapting to new situations. How about stubbornness? Anybody ever call you stubborn? You're like stubborn like a mule. Causes you to misplace opportunities and closed-mindedness, right? When the warrior is in this mode, it goes back to the phrase, if you're a hammer, everything's a nail. If you're a warrior in the shadow mode, everything's a fight. And it doesn't have to be that way. So, shadow isolation, emotional disconnection. Now, we went into more in the disempowered version yesterday of the warrior, of each one of them, the warrior, the lover, the magician, and the sovereign. Lone wolf mentality. This happens a lot in one of the business models that I'm a part of called network marketing, where people go off and say, I'm going to do it on my own. That's a wounded warrior. That's somebody looking for recognition. That's somebody who lacks trust. If you can show me how to do it and do it better, I will follow in your lead. Sometimes good warriors need to be good followers, but if they're off running on their own going, well, I'm going to try this. Listen, I was that. When I first got started in the profession 23 years ago, I was as lone wolf as you could be, thought I was running the pack, but I was just a wolf out on my own. That's why my first year, $80,000 in debt. Not a good model, not a good way to be. You become a very broke warrior very quick. So balancing assertiveness and aggression. A warrior is somebody who needs to stand strong, stand proud, be big, be assertive, not aggressive. Respectful communication, not hostile behavior. Clear boundaries, not violating others. Confidence versus intimidation. That makes sense? Now, as you listen to this, one of the biggest reasons a lot of you are working with me already and understanding some of the things we talk about. If this is your first time spending some time with me, one of the things that's going to happen is that you're going to see, most often we see things in others before we see them in ourselves, right? We see the splinter in our neighbor's eye, right? A little biblical phrase, before we see the plank in our own eye. We want to take their splinter out before we remove the plank in our eye. You all know that passage? This is kind of what happens when we become aware of our archetypes. So one of the things that's hard for the warrior to do, unless if you are absolutely so strong, so empowered, and you express vulnerability, could you ever feel weak? If you truly understand the warrior and what vulnerability allows others to do, Brene Brown said it best, your vulnerability gives me strength. The reason a lot of people's vulnerability, listen carefully, the reason a lot of people's vulnerability does not give strength is because it's coming from a weak expression. It's coming from give me pity, give me sympathy. And we don't want to be around somebody who's pitiful, who needs sympathy. That's not a leader. Does that make sense? That might hit hard. So, strength and openness. True courage involves being open. Emotional EQ. This is one of the biggest things. And I don't know when it came out, the 90s, EQ, emotional quotient. It's this about having emotional intelligence, to be able to hear why somebody else is operating from where they're at. How many of you have ever been shocked by somebody's, for lack of better discussion, outrage at a particular moment? And you're like, where the Hades did that come from? And we want to respond to what they said. versus having enough emotional intelligence saying, that's not who they are. Something else is wrong. Sometimes we've been able to have that insight, right? But if you're a wounded warrior, a disempowered warrior, you are going to be swinging hammers and axes and all of these things, and you're just going to be hurting a lot of the people around you. An empowered warrior who is coming down off of this, I am better than they, I am more powerful than they, and you haven't done a dang thing in your life, called understanding, called awareness, you have to seek support. The DIY method, even for the warrior. If you're, some of the battles you're about to go into are going to be some big battles as it relates to your identity. This making sense? We're really spending a lot of time on this. I'll do my best to get through it. Integrating the other archetypes. One of the things in the program, in the course, I'm going to walk you through is as you determine which your dominant archetype is. Some of you, it might be your warrior. Some of it might be your lover. Some of it might be your magician. Some of it might be your sovereign. And then if that's your dominant, who are the next ones? Because if you're a sovereign, dominant warrior, dominant individual, talking to the majority of the people, your avatars, your customers, your clients, they're in a warrior mindset. Do you realize how egotistical a sovereign can sound to a disempowered warrior who feels they work for the king or for the queen? Let that sink in for just a second. The phenomenon of understanding that a wounded lover talking to a disempowered magician who's being sarcastic and saying, well, you could do this. This is perfect for you. I don't know why you wouldn't do this. Talking to a wounded lover. All of a sudden, you start to see how some of the conversations we've had in the past and why they dissolved or why they blew up or why they totally went sideways is because we didn't know who we were speaking with. So understanding how to integrate all of the other archetypes is key and critical. Evolving. So how do you evolve the warrior? You got to take time for yourself. When I talk to people about 2 hours of meditation, what if it was a half hour for each one? Half hour for your lover, half hour for your magician, half hour for your sovereign, half hour for your warrior. And you had your phone ding at 30-minute segments and you just rotated through those. Do you think you might understand? Do you think 2 hours might not even be enough now? Balanced strength, understanding that you can step out of the warrior and allow the others to step in. Lifelong learning. What you know now wasn't even on, listen, drop a 1 in the chat if you agree. What you are aware of now wasn't even on your radar 5 years ago. You follow me? So when you are aware of what you're aware of now, this wasn't even, you couldn't even imagine thinking in this way 5 years ago. And if quantum leap and the principle of Kaizen, 1% better every day, if you get 300% better every year, 300% better every year, you're 600% better next year, 900% better, you're 1,200% better on the 4th year. What would happen to your income if it got 1,200% better in the next 4 years? This is what's possible. The challenge that it's not happening for you, the reason it didn't happen in the last 4 years is because you weren't aware of how you were disempowering yourself. And that's why the course that I'm offering on the archetypes, understanding your archetypes, can give you some significant understanding of who you are and why it might be time for you to say yes to you. So that's Empowered Warrior. Hang on for a second. Let me switch slides here. And let's go to Empowered. That's the course. Let's go to the Empowered Lover. All right. We all want to have this feeling of desire, this feeling of capability and capacity. We all want to come from the best possible space. The challenge is that we're not allowing ourselves to do that all the time. So here we go. Let's go over here to share. If this is of value, drop a 1 in the chat. And if you're getting, if you think this is super duper awesome, just shout out bonus time whenever you feel that you've got your money's worth. And hopefully that's okay, cool. So the empowered lover, give me a head shake if you can see it. Thumbs up. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So the lover archetype embodies connection. Now, we didn't hear that in the warrior. Now, the warrior has to lead. The warrior has to have discipline. An empowered warrior can move armies. But wouldn't it make sense if it was a warrior lover? If you were building teams and organizations? Firm, decided, decisive, taking immediate action, helping those who are ready, willing, and able. The warrior's not going to sit around and babysit. But what if the warrior could sit around and encourage with the warrior's decision-making and the lover's heart? Does that make sense? And if we really, right now, I want you to imagine, I want this to become real for you right now. I want you to imagine you're the warrior. Sit as if you're the warrior. If you're the warrior, sit as if you're the warrior. Now, with that same frame, I want you to bring in the lover. What do you feel shift? What do you feel shift? Some of you I see are smiling. Some of you, your shoulders kind of went down a little bit. Where's your tongue at? Rest your tongue on the floor of your mouth. Do you feel the energy shift in your body with a warrior lover? What happens if you've consciously become aware that you are going into this meeting, warrior focused, lover, listening? Man, this stuff is powerful. It's been hidden for a long time. Jung came up with it. This is in psychology. This isn't about sales. This isn't about training. This isn't about motivation. This is understanding the innate individuals who are inside of you, called energies. So the lover is the archetype that embodies connection, emotion, sensuality. Yeah, baby. Represents passion, empathy, and deep bonds. How many of you have ever sat down with somebody and said, man, I feel like I've known you forever? That's a two-way energy exchange. So the introduction, the lover archetype focuses on emotional richness. I want you to think of something. I want you to think of something emotional. It could have been a sensual episode. It could have been where you won a bid, got a job. I want you to think about something that was just ecstatic in your life. And now I want you to add emotional richness to it. What would you hear better? What would you feel better? What would you smell better? What would you taste better? How would it be better? Now, a couple of things to be aware of. Every time we have a thought of something from our mind, our archive, it's never the same when we're done thinking about it. Because the you of where you are and who you are in this moment, pulling that memory from the banks, has a filter through which we now see it. So that memory that you just had, that you made richer, maybe than it was, more powerful, more emotional than you remembered it. This is called upgrading your state. And your lover has the easiest capacity. When you're sitting from the lover archetype, has the easiest capacity to fall more in love with a memory or a moment. Now, we can fall in love with a memory. I want you to think of a future memory. What, Skippy? A future memory. Not a future goal that it doesn't exist. I want you to think of the goal as it already existed. And I want you to put your lover towards it. How does it feel to have it already done? How does it feel to be, as Wallace D. Waddell says in chapter 7, gratitude of it already done? You've just accessed the formless substance, and you've forced, you've coerced, you've corralled, you've cajoled the formless substance to produce a future memory that exists right now And it now puts in the wheels of motion all of the strategies, all of the universe. This is when they say, when a decision is made, providence moves to. It's easier for us to do it from the lover standpoint than it is from the others. Now, the magician is going to have a huge part in your future memories, and we'll get to that in just a moment. So the lover plays a role crucial in personal development and personal undevelopment. Sometimes it's hard for us to let go of things because they hurt us. They broke our heart, and we don't want to bring it up again. So we avoid direct contact with it. The lover can help heal that. The lover's heart-centered is about unity, is about emotional depth, the full spectrums of human emotions, connecting deeply with others through nature and self, and seeking harmony in all aspects of life. Kind of hard to fight with somebody if you're in love with them. I'm not saying we haven't had fights with people we love, but I've heard that makeup romance is usually some of the best kind of romance there is. Why? Because you're going from mad to ecstatic. Cultural representations, ancient mythology, Aphrodite and Eros embodied the passion in Greek mythology. Literature, romantic poems, poets celebrated love and beauty. In modern culture, the lover archetype influences contemporary art, music, and media. Is there a song that you just, man, if you play it, it just gets your body going? It resonates with every cell in your body. You love this song. Oh, turn it up. I love this song. Why are you not turning up your life? I love this life. Why are you not turning it up? Oh, I love this life. Oh, I just woke up this morning. Turn up the volume. I love this life.
Bonus.
Now you're being cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Thank you for that. Why not wake up and go, I am outstanding. I love it. 10, baby. Dun, 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 dun. It doesn't hurt to have chickens and dogs and sheep all around you, which is why I love the ranch. Right now, let's see who's inside there. Dubby's here. Seamus is here. Jameson is there. The only one in here is not the girl. It's 5 boys, me and 4 of the boys. Why? Because we just love hanging out with each other. Now, if I went outside, they'd go outside. Why? Because they love being around my energy. I love being around their energy. Passion, energy. The lover brings vibrant energy. How did you, before you got on the call, what state were you in? Which archetype was empowered? Or which archetype was disempowered? I'm behind. I can't get anything done. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. Are you the defeated warrior? Were you the disempowered magician? I have no power. I'm going to encourage you to adjust that right now, in this moment. If you're watching the recording, you can change it right now. I don't care if it's midnight, 2 a.m., wherever you're at in the world. Right now, you can decide. Start to breathe life and light into you. Start to bring some energy to all aspects. Put some enthusiasm in Theos, the God within. How is the God within you operating right now? If it's not 10, baby, you're working from a less than possible version of yourself. And if you want inspiration, be it for others. One of the things Napoleon Hill says about a mastermind, and do you realize that when you walk into the grocery store, listen carefully to me, ladies and germs, when you walk into the grocery store and somebody there makes you go, somebody there makes you go, yeah, baby, I'm going to follow you around with my shopping cart. If somebody there makes your energy shift, you are being desperate. Wait, what? If you are allowing good or bad to influence you, who's in control of your needle? Who's in control of where you are on the energy scale, where you are on the inspiration scale, where you are on the enthusiasm scale? When is it time for you to take control of you? If you're not in control of you, you are disempowering this miracle that you see in the mirror. Who's in charge of that? Disempowering the miracle called you? Deep connection and empathy, understanding, bonding, and bridge building. This isn't about building bridges to them, although that's part of it. This is about building bridges to you. Let me say that again. This isn't always about building bridges and creating connections with others. Isn't it possible? Isn't it a reality that the bridge you need to build most is to the version of you and that future goal? Question I have for you is, how long is that bridge? And who's in charge of how long that bridge is? If Bob Proctor says that we're here in vibration and the thing we want is here at this vibration, usually a higher vibration, that's just an assumption. There needs to be a bridge between here and there. The challenge is that, well, I'm going to focus on that. And we wind up over here. We're not going up. We wind up moving sideways. How many of us feel sometimes we're busy, and we keep sliding away, or we're here, or then we move here. We're moving on the same plane. We're moving on the same vibrational plane because we're not in love building the bridge to our future self. Your future self exists when? Now. Right now, in this moment. That can't exist unless you're it right now. Well, wait a minute, but if I'm it right now, then wouldn't I have my goals right now? Sometimes you can plant an oak tree today and be in love and courage and faith and dumb and just absolutely focus. When it takes its natural course, it may take 20 years before you can sit under the shade of the oak tree, but you got to plant it. When's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. The next best time? Today. When's the best time to have worked on your dreams and on your archetypes? 20 years ago. When's the next best time? Today. All right, let's keep going. Creativity and sensuality. There's an artistic expression. The lover taps into the creative senses through emotions. Some of us aren't allowing ourselves any of that space. And what I mean by that is, go watch butterflies. Go look at an ant moving a piece of, I don't know, give it a piece of rice and watch it move a piece of rice. Go look at leaves. The fall is coming. Go look at trees that are starting to change. Go sit with them. Have you ever put your ear up against the trunk of a tree? Did you ever listen to its heartbeat? The ability to create beauty in art. Go arrange stones on the ground. I'm just saying, physically get involved with creating beauty. Doodle. How many of you love to doodle? Doodle some fun things. I'm telling you, go look at some great pictures. Go look at your pictures. Pull out some of your photo albums for those of you that were born after what, 2010. You probably don't know what a photo album is. Years ago, we used to take cameras to a store and they would develop it. And we would look at these pictures and then we would store them and put them in little file folders so that we could go look at them again. Go look at some of the photos on your phone. And sensory exploration. Go put on an eye mask and sit out someplace in the shade under a tree and see what you begin to hear. You want to activate the best version of you? You've got to allow the best version of you some space to show up. Appreciation for beauty, deep appreciation. Go look at something that you would normally slip by you. Easy way, very non-expensive way, frugal way is go look at flowers at the grocery store. Go spend 10 minutes just looking at some of the flowers and look at the arrangements. Mindfulness, taking time for yourself, inspiration. Here's the pitfalls. Over-attachment. How many of us have ever been, or how many of us know somebody who's ever been more in love with somebody than that other person was in love with you? Same thing happens for ideas, ladies and gentlemen. So when your lover is disempowered, you are losing yourself. You have very little emotional resilience. You stay stuck in these patterns. And if it gets too severe, we have a name for that called what? Called depression. Right? We have a tendency to go in excess. We have an addiction to unhealthy attachments. When our passion turns into destructive obsession. How many of us, social media at some point has turned into a destructive obsession? I got to get more. I got to get more. I got to do more. I got to get more. I got to do more. And if I do more and I do more and I get more and I do more and I do more and I get more, And the reason it's not working is because you're in a strategy expression instead of a state expression. And again, this is operating from our lover. So overwhelm, intensity, vulnerable. We think we're vulnerable to everything. We have emotional heartache. We feel like we've been taken advantage of. No one can make you feel anything without your permission. Doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt. I've lost many an animal, right? Either they died natural causes, they hurt so much, we had to put them down. It doesn't not hurt, but it doesn't change who I am. Too many people, when they're disempowered, are letting the situation bring them down to that level and shift their identity. They take on the ownership of the situation versus staying in their state and dealing with the situation. Does that make sense? So, balancing self-awareness, healthy boundaries, self-care. Self-care is drinking your water that you said you were going to drink every day, doing your 20 minutes of walking, of exercise. Healthy boundaries is learning to say, I can't do that right now. On another day, I might be able to. But rather than readjusting everything that you had set out today, because if you set intentions and let other people change your intentions, what do you think your intentions are going to say to you tomorrow? Yeah, these ain't going to work. Good luck with that, Skippy. You tried that yesterday. That didn't work. We have to, and they don't have to be huge, big, what is that? Big, hairy, audacious goals, your BHAGs. They don't have to be BHAGs in nature. They can be little things. By 10 o'clock, I will have drank 32 ounces of water, and I will have written my 10 gratitudes, and I will have sent out 5 text messages of love and appreciation to somebody. That's self-care. Because if you don't take care of you, ain't a whole lot of people lining up for that job. There's only one person. Here's again, emotional intelligence, developing the skills to navigate complex emotional landscapes. Do you think people are a little bit more emotional today than they were 5 years ago, or a little less emotional today than they were 5 years ago? More emotional because they have so many sensory sunburns of emotion. They're worried about social media. They're worried about their Instagram. They're worried about their TikTok. They're worried about their sales. They're worried about their blog. They're worried about their podcast. And they have all these things that nobody's following them on. And it's just you, the one person, but we've given ourselves 5 places to worry about. We have to be responsible to, not for. Balancing expression, learning to express emotions without being consumed by them, and working on our emotional intelligence for resilience. So, integrated with the other archetypes, the warrior combining passion and courage, the magician blending emotion and intuition, and the sovereign managing empathy with leadership and vision. Think about that. What if you were an individual who combined passion with courage, built emotion with intuition and wisdom, and managed empathy with leadership and vision? What would change in your life? What would be more valuable to you right now? What would you be doing more of if you were able to operate from those set of states? Does that make sense? And last slide for the lover is embodying the empowered lover, balance, growth, and integration. Incorporating the lover's strengths into all aspects of your life without getting wounded, without getting cut. What's that phrase they say? Why are you bleeding over on people that never cut you? You no longer have to be cut. You no longer have to bleed. You have continuous development of emotional. That's one of the most powerful things I think in today's marketplace is emotional EQ, emotional intelligence. And this all happens in the brain. This happens in the hardware because your hardware is already wired. You can keep upgrading the software, reading another book, upgrading the software, attending another event. This is a software upgrade. It's not a hardware upgrade because this is accessing parts of you that go, ooh, I like that. Ooh, I like that. I like that. That's software. If you like it, how do we implement it? That's hardware. That's self-talk. That's awareness. That's neuroencoding. That makes sense? This is why the DIY method creates such a struggle. All right, let's go on to the next one. This good stuff. I hope it's of value to you. Let's go back here. Home over here. Go back to there. So we just did the lover. We did the there's the disempowered sovereign. Let's go with the empowered magician, the transformation, the master of trance. How cool would that be to become the master of transformation? Let's do this real quick. Get rid of that. Y'all doing good? Well, let's take a break for a second. Let's take a break. We've been going for about, wow, an hour already. So take a bath, stretch. If you need to drink some water, drink some water. I'm going to get some water here for myself. Shake your body, move it, stretch it. Oh, yeah, baby. Roll your shoulders, roll your shoulders, roll your shoulders, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Okay, so let's put this in present mode. About another minute and we'll get started back. I'm curious. I see the thing, feed the fish. I don't know where I saw that, but sounds funny. I'm sure we'll hear about it in the Q&A. All right, here we go. Back into the think of things. Here we are, the empowered magician, the master of transformation. Discover the magician is wisdom. The magician is the seeking of wisdom, the seeking of intuition, the ability to snap, right? Those, as Thomas Paine called it from the book Law of Success. The voluntary visitors. It's unlocking your potential for personal growth and spiritual development. So, the empowered magician. Let's see here. Will that work? Yes, it does. The essence of the magician is the wisdom seeker. The ability to produce something that wasn't there before. The ability to take an experience and turn it into something that's a lesson that's a legacy lesson. Does that make sense? So if we understand that, the magician relentlessly pursues hidden knowledge and deeper truths. They unravel life's mystery with a keen insight and intuition. If you've ever had one of those hunches, if you ever had a hunch, any of you ever had a hunch? Oh, I got an idea. That came from your magician. Now, some of you may be in parts in areas of your life right now where that is a consistent part of it. You need hunches. How many of you would benefit from better, more focused hunches in your life? How many of you, if you could get hunches that would save you a decade of work, would that be good? That's accessing your magician. They're a transformative guide. Magicians help others navigate personal and spiritual transitions, turning challenges into opportunity and growth. And with a connection to unseen forces, how many of you feel you sometimes have connections to God sources, aka God winks, right? And you perceive beyond the surface. There's a deeper level. When you're talking to somebody, you ever talk to somebody and go, that phrase, who you are, speaks so loud, I don't need to hear what you're saying. They're either telling the truth or they're a bag of donuts. There's not a lot going on there, right? With the connection of unseen forces, magician, right? Unseen forces. What does that also remind you of? What does that remind you of if you think of Wallace D. Wattles? The formless substance. Everything exists. You say something now, it resonates with a cell at the edge of the universe. Everything exists. And when Napoleon Hill talked about a mastermind, and the reason that we work in harmony is because when your mind and my mind get together, they create a third mind. The magician is that person. When you and I are talking, you go, oh, okay, I got it. I got it. That was your magician that came forth. They tap into intuition and guide decision making. What's the mindset? Belief in hidden truths. I'm just going to let that sit there for just a second. Belief in hidden truths. What are the hidden truths that right now exist in your world? They may not be in my world. They could be, probably not, because your world is different than my world. What are the hidden truths in your world right now that you know of, that you know they're hidden, and you're choosing not to use them? Magicians see beyond the veil of everyday reality. They seek knowledge in unexpected places and unseen realms. This is called your reticular activating system, ladies and gentlemen. Inside the brain, the RAS, the reticular activating system, if you set your intention as I'm going to look for this, you activate your AKA magician to be on the lookout for that. When you set an intention, how many of your senses do you think are tuned to that intention? Is it just your hearing? Is it just your sight? Or is it all of them? See, when you allow your reticular activating system, when you allow your magician to activate all of your senses, how many of you have had your spidey senses tingled? Right? You know this thing, and all of a sudden you see this. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, how many of you have ever taken, you didn't know quite where you were, you thought you knew the directions, but you followed your spidey senses and took a right? It doesn't mean that you knew that you were doing the right, but you took the turn and you're like, oh my God, that was the right one. All of this happens because you are activating this higher version of you. The power of transformation. Change is viewed as a powerful tool for growth. Most people are afraid of growth. They want change, but what they're doing is that if this is the level that we need to operate at, they're changing this way and they're exhausted. How many people do you know are change, and they're exhausted because they're not elevating? Transformation is elevation. Transformation is moving. Listen, you could transform a little bit lower and go, dang, that didn't work, Skippy. The good news is you can get back to where you were and then understand that doesn't work. You do the opposite, and all of a sudden change, transformation overtakes change. Intuitive wisdom, trust and inner guidance, and continuous learning. The magician is continuously learning in the field that serves your highest self, serves your state the best. There's no reason, if I'm going to be a cook, there's no reason to learn how to change the oil in my tractor. Just not, there's no reason there. The historical culture, the ancient shamans, medieval alchemists, blended science and mysticism, symbolize the quest for personal and spiritual, and Merlin the wizard, right, in King Arthur's court. These are representations of the historical and cultural magicians, ancient shamans. We hear how they facilitated transformative experiences. You can still go to places in Mexico or maybe out west and do ayahuasca retreats. I've never done one, but if you've done one, I'm sure it's been woo-hoo, round the bend, and you had some experiences. This is the magician now, the empowered magician, deep perception. The magician taps into subtle energies. Let me ask you a question. In order to tap into the subtle energies, what must you be? Can you be paranoid? Can you be sporadic? Can you be anxious? Can you be intimidated? Can you be frustrated? If you're at that wound tighter than a bed spring energy, can you tap into the subtle energies and the underlying patterns? Can you read between the lines and sense hidden truths? This is an empowered magician. You all have this skill. You've all done this before. You've all had these inklings. You've all had these touchstone moments. Why isn't it always? Because you're wound tighter than a hat pin, and you're too worried about things that don't serve you to worry about. The power of intuition, it's a guiding light. Intuition serves as an internal compass. An internal compass helps you navigate decisions in uncertain paths, both physically, while you were driving, you used this guiding light before, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, financially. How many of us would love to activate our magician for our finances? This is one of the biggest hidden stepping stones, stumbling blocks of why most people struggle with their wealth and stay stuck in a level of poverty for themselves. Listen, somebody could make 10 grand a month and still be broke, right? We all know people like that. So understanding that activating your magician is to overcome, empowering your magician is to overcome poverty. That if you're in a state of poverty for yourself, relationship, finance, body, mind, spirit, you're in a poverty magical state and an unempowered, a disempowered magician. And a magician empowers others by sharing intuitive insights. Sometimes you hear me on the morning calls, and before I started working with the archetypes about a decade ago, I didn't know where this came from. I now know when I get these things going, hey, listen, I just got this download. That's my magician. I say download because if I go, oh, my magician just said, somebody go, oh, you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puff. I don't understand that. Get the hell out of here. But it's my magician. I activate in the morning before the morning call. I activate my archetype. I activate my archetype male, female, my solver, my magician male, female, my warrior male, female, and my lover male, female. And I have a conversation with them all. It's kind of like a break. We put our hands in and go. And I hit the start button for the call. Sometimes I don't even acknowledge it. I just hear go. They already knew the pattern. And that's where I get these insights from. That's how I get this information. Masters of transformation, not change, transformation, identifying potential. Magicians see the hidden potential. Doesn't this sound like a mentor? Doesn't a magician translate to mentor when working with people? See the hidden potential in people and situations. They recognize seeds of change and help you plant it so it transforms. Catalyzing change through wisdom and intuition. Magicians initiate transformative process. Embracing renewal finds the opportunity in endings. They help others see how change leads to growth. Isn't it magical when a caterpillar metamorphoses through the chrysalis and goes into this, transforms into a butterfly? How does it go from this to mush to a butterfly? That's God. That's a transformation of epic degree. Innovative thinking, visionary insight, manifesting reality. Through focused intention, magicians bring ideas to life. Do you think if you activated your magician, if you activated your ability to manifest better, faster, easier? See, just ask a question. Ask your magician to come forth right now in your own mind. You can do it eyes open, eyes closed, but just ask, say, magician, come forth. It's your mind, it's your story, it's your energy, it's your frequency. They have to obey. Watch your magician come forth. See what they're wearing. Some of you I've worked with, and you already have your magician. You already know what they look like. You know what their sound is they make. You know what it is that the move they make. Feel that. Activate it. And now tell yourself going, dang, I have access to this and I haven't used it as often as I'd like. I now will activate my magician on a regular basis. Feel the difference? And if you don't know where your archetypes live in the course, we'll go through that. We'll find your archetypes. We'll find the sound they make. We'll find where they live. We'll give them a name, right? If you have a dog, what's the first thing you do when you get a puppy? Or if you get a dog or a cat or a bird, it's the first thing you do. You name it. It's absolutely the reason to name your archetypes as well, because they're yours. Own it. Wisdom and insight, deep study, analytical understanding, informative decision making. How many of us would love to be able to make a decision if we had more information? Your magician can get you there. Meditation, life experience, intuitive insights, holistic perspective, innovative problem solving. How many of you would love to be able to come up with crazy ideas? Some of you have seen on the morning calls and when somebody were talking marketing, because many of you see me as a mental support system, helping with your insights and thoughts and feelings. I'm also a good marketer. And when some people, oh, I didn't know you could do all of that. Yeah, I can help you market the heck out of your stuff and figure out who your avatar is and help you go through all of that. Now imagine if you activated your magician. It's almost like this was what ChatGPT was before we had ChatGPT, was to activate your magician and come up with solutions you didn't know existed. Now imagine if you had more insight, more direction by using a technology, an AI, and then accessed your magician with all this new information. Do you think you might have even a tenfold, right? A Grant Cardone 10x of your wants and wishes and desires? So shadow manipulation, power is misused. That's the problem. Listen, you got to promise to use all of these things for good. There's hidden agendas. How many of us have felt we were with somebody who has made us feel cool and everything else, and all of a sudden they had a hidden agenda. They wanted to exploit us. That was their disempowered, their shadow magician. Ethical responsibility, use this for good. All right. Grounding in reality, balancing act, everyday magic, embodied knowledge, right? Magicians bridge the spiritual and material worlds. True wisdom manifests in daily life. Magicians find enchantment in ordinary moments. Magicians apply their insights into tangible and real world solutions. Overcoming arrogance. When you get good at this stuff, all of a sudden you think, I'm better than most. How do I know? This is true. How do I know? Because I was there. My first years in network marketing, boy, was I the magician of magicians and arrogant, and cost me, it was an $80,000 diploma. Embracing humility, true wisdom acknowledges its limits. Respecting others' wisdom. Every person holds unique insights. It's why I choose not to tell you what to do, because if I tell you what to do, the thing you need to do, you won't do. So I respect your wisdom and say, so what do you think you should do? I don't know. Well, if you did know, well, I would do this. And then all of a sudden your wisdom reveals itself even to you. Continuous growth, wisdom journey never ends. Lifelong learning, empowering others. Today, how many people did you empower today? How many people did you encourage to move to a higher level? How many people did felt your presence of love and courage and outstandingness, and they said, man, I'm better for being around you? Got to ask that question. Balancing intuition and rationality, intuitive insight, trust your inner voice, rational analysis, apply logic thinking, examine the facts. Because sometimes you could be thinking 3 steps ahead and you go to implement 3 steps ahead and it's what doesn't work because you didn't do step 1, step 2. Integrated wisdom, combined heart and mind. The magician and other. Magician brings intuitive strategy to the warrior's courage, right? The lover, combining the lover's empathy with the magician's insight, deepens connections. And the sovereign, the magician enhances the wisdom of the sovereign's leadership. Seek knowledge from diverse sources. All too often, if you listen to, I'll use West Wing as an example, and if you listen to the president, sometimes when he gets into conversations with people, he always pulls a story from the Bible or a story from here, has tremendous wisdom from stories from other parts and places in the universe. Begin to trust your intuition. Here's how I do that. Here's how I worked on that. Whenever I'm at an intersection that's coming up where somebody could turn left or go right, go straight, I would say that person is going to go, and I would let my intuition come in. They're going to make a left turn. Oh, they put on the left turn signal. Yeah. Because their intent already exists. It's vibrating. Isn't it vibrating in their car and throughout the universe? Can you pick up on that intuition? If you want to increase your intuition, if you drive a fair amount, anytime you get behind a car where there's an intersection coming up, ask which way are they going? And you will be able to tune in. You will be able to focus on that. You'll get better than 50% of the time right. You'll get 60, 70, 80% of the time right. Now imagine if you could take that, if you took that same space of capacity and started to ask questions about the person you're sitting across from. What's really bothering them? What do I need to pay attention to in this moment? You'll develop your intuition to a level that will sometimes freak you out. Embracing transformation, welcome the changes and the opportunity of growth, and use power wisely. When you have accessed and developed your magician, you will become unbelievably focused, and it'll almost be snap of the fingers for you to manifest things. Just saying, it's that powerful. Last slide. We're done, I think. The journey continues. Lifelong learning, transformative. It's never change impact. It's transformative impact. You become a catalyst for positive change in your world, in the people you hang around. People come to you. Hey, listen, let me bounce some ideas off of you. There's an inner magic. True magic lies within you. All of this is within you. Every bit of it, the empowered lover, the empowered magician, the empowered warrior, the empowered sovereign. Now add to it. We talk about this in the course. Add to this the idea of a male and female version of all of these. So you've got 8 disempowered and 8 empowered. That's 16 main energies. Now, what happens if you have a disempowered sovereign and an empowered lover? You want to take care of everybody, but you're not making the decisions that to serve everybody in the right way. Does this make sense? So there's all of these combinations that make things really challenging. So can you figure this out on your own? Absolutely. Will it take you some time? Probably. Is it worth doing it? 100% yes. So I would encourage you to focus on what it is that you really want to achieve. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes. If you just wanted to learn about the archetypes and become aware of that, terrific. Let me show you, for those of you that want to stay on for just about another 10 minutes, and let me share with you the 8-week program. I'm going to do that real quick. So if you've got enough information already and you're good, feel free to bounce. Isn't that what they say? I got to bounce. And we'll go from there. Let me just change this real quick. Just a value. And then we'll go into Q&A. So if you want to hang around for just a minute, you need to go to the restroom, go ahead, go. If you're not interested in hearing about what might an 8-week course look like, go use the restroom. Go grab a drink of water. Go walk the dog. And share. And here it is. There we go. All right. So the 8-week transformative course, it's about exploring the sovereign, lover, warrior, magician archetypes, learning to overcome disempowered versions and embrace empowered ones through self-awareness, self-talk, energetic freedom technique, right? Tapping, dual talk, RCPs, all of that. So click here. Week 1, we go into the introduction of the archetypes, overview, self-assessment. You find out which archetype is your dominant archetype, and then journal about embodying the disempowered archetype, practicing self-awareness and affirmation. So there's a self-talk program around this. The course begins, this is October. The course begins November 1st or somewhere thereabouts. And so, yeah, that's to be determined. Week 2 is the disempowered sovereign, recognizing and identifying the tyranny, the control, the victimhood, right? The shift, learn the steps to embrace the vision, responsibility, and leadership, and visualize your sovereign through guided visualization. So these will be both live, recorded, and audios that are a part of this. Week 3, the empowered sovereign. What does it mean to have your vision clear, to have your DMP in place, to have your wisdom clear, to have your structure in place? Practice taking ownership and leading with integrity for yourself and for others. Week 4, the disempowered lover. Recognize the patterns, understand the shift that's necessary. How did you get here? How did you get out? How will you get out? Engaging in sensory mindfulness. This is week 4. Week 5 is the empowered lover. Bringing more passion. See, one of the challenges with growth and personal development is that we keep stacking on top of some of the bad structures, the bad foundations, the bad mindsets, mindfulnesses that we have. We're going to uncover and go, oh, okay, so that's why I'm there. It's not to get you stuck or wallow in that. It's to make sure that you're very clear of what that version of you, how it exists and how it shows up and how it cripples your capacity for your creativity. So connection, practice giving. Week 6 is the disempowered warrior. This is where most people operate. It's we operate from the empowered. I make the decisions to the disempowered. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm doing this again. I'm not doing that. I'm doing this again. I'm not doing this anymore. So you'll learn about how to deal with that. Week 7 is the empowered warrior. Week 8 is the empowered magician. We go through the unempowered. We just went through that. You will go through it again, understanding what happens when your disempowered magician happens, and then what happens when you become empowered. And you realize it doesn't take a whole lot. The shift that you're looking for, it's the butterfly flapping its wings, right? That's the idea of it. We use self-talk techniques. Sovereign, I lead my life with wisdom, integrity, and compassion. You can take a screenshot of this if you're going to do this on your own, and you're going to take a swing at it. The lover, I balance my relationships with healthy. My relationships are healthy and fulfilling. Warrior, I'm strong and courageous. Right? The emotional freedom, tapping into certain ways, understanding where tapping happens, how it happens, what are the phrases. One of the things about tapping that makes it so valuable and so absolutely crucial to transformation is you have to establish where you currently are. You have to establish statements where you currently reside in your energy. Right? So if we were to do a tapping and we were to do the karate chop starting there, you set a statement of your current, my sovereign, as often as I want it to come forth, seems to resist because my warrior is defending my state. I choose, right, if you go to the top of your head, I choose to activate my sovereign because right now I know I'm capable, I know I'm in control, and I know I can take the actions necessary to protect my kingdom. And then we would go into the eye, inside eye, outside eye, under the eye, right? And we would do all of these kinds of things so that you would feel all of a sudden you're accessing meridians, you're doing self-talk, you're doing dual talk. You're activating each of these frequencies inside of you. That makes sense? Where are we going here? Next one, dual talk, right? Inner dialogue, reframing and integration. Dual talk is that there is a certain frequency that's coming through in a certain language. Let's say I am empowered in my decision-making and I am activating my warrior to protect, to move forward, and to serve the greater good. And then in the left ear, while that's going on, it says, I am capable. I am strong. In the right ear, it says, I make decisions easily. I make decisions effortlessly. And with that, there's a binaural frequency that's associated with the warrior mindset. So this is all part of the reorganization of your greatness. Random call program, the RCPs. This is where I create. And depending upon how many people are in the classes, in the courses, the RCPs, you will be able to say these RCPs, call people. Imagine receiving a call on your phone and it says, Sean's calling. and you go, hey, Sean. And I say, this is an RCP. You are the architect of your life. You lead with wisdom, you lead with love, and you lead with compassion. This is your RCP. And you hang up. What that does psychologically is that you hear this amazing, powerful, intense statement, and it has no place else to go but into your subconscious, because we're not diluting it with, hey, how's the weather by you? Hey, listen, I got an RCP for you. Let me rip this off to you. It is a random call of programming. And what happens is your brain begins to seek these out, get excited about these, because it goes along with the dual talk. It goes along with the journaling that you're doing. It goes along with the self-evaluation that you're doing, so that you can finally have more of what you want and a heck of a lot less of what you don't. Homework, journaling, of course, practicing visualization. You'll actually do some guided visualizations for the group. Wait, what? You mean, yes, the best way to learn is to teach. So you will be required, or you will be requested. I'm not going to make you do anything you don't want to do, but I'm definitely going to encourage you to do a guided visualization for the community. Some of you are sweating already and you haven't even decided whether you're going to join or not. That's called neuroencoding. And so integration of all of the archetypes, how do they work? What's the benefits between them? What's the embodiment? And those are the prices. So entry level $497, mid $997, VIP one-on-one. It's all of the, right? It's the entry, the mid-level includes the entry, the VIP includes the mid-level and the entry. If you decide that you want this right now, you could do it on this course. If you want to do it in the next 24 hours, it's 50% off. 50% off any one of those. It's an 8-week course. Reach out to me. There's no page to go sign up. There's kind of an interview process. Because if you say I want the one-on-one and you're not going to have the time for it, you may want to do mid-level. If you want to do entry and you're telling me the goals that you want, you may need to upgrade. So we'll do kind of an interview process so that you can ask me more questions before you make a purchase. There's no sign-up page. This is, you got to reach out to me and you got to say, I want to be a part of this. So with that being said, Q&As. Feel free to ask me any Q&As as we go through the process. Did I not do the sovereign, Maureen? I thought I did. I didn't. Oh, well, then hang on then. So we can always edit this. Empowered. Let's go back here. I thought I ended a little early. I'm like, man, this seems a little shorter than yesterday. Warrior, archetype, lover, empowered, sovereign. Y'all okay if I keep going? Drop a 1 in the chat if y'all okay if I keep going. Okay, so now you know the price, and we're going to go into the sovereign. So empowered. Thank you, Maureen. You gotta count on those Murphys, right? You gotta count on those Murphys to help Murphys, because we're a bunch of goofballs. All right, here we go. Share empowered a sovereign. See, anybody could do this. Anybody could do this. A journey into visionary leadership. Embark on the journey to unlock your inner sovereign. This is one of the most challenging archetypes for us to use. Why? Because we can do things from this place that could negatively impact some around us, yet are beneficial for all, even in its negativity, even in what seems like they don't like it. It's such a powerful experience for all incorporated, all who operate inside your world when you operate from your sovereign, your true sovereign, not your disempowered sovereign, from your empowered sovereign. So, embracing authority leads with confidence and clarity, understanding their powers. Most of us don't understand our powers. It's why some of us think I've operated from my sovereign. You really have yet to operate from your sovereign, because you haven't understood, you haven't taken into, you haven't allowed, let me put it this way. That was what I was just told. It's not that you didn't try or want to, it's you have not allowed yourself to operate at your highest level of good. You've operated at your highest level of, I want to be safe. Does that make sense? When you operate at the level of good, you can't please everybody. A sovereign is a visionary thinker. Now, if you weren't here for yesterday, you can just take any one of these and take the converse of it, take the opposite of it. And that's what a disempowered. And some of us can truly see where we've been a disempowered sovereign. Unwavering responsibility. The sovereign accepts accountability for their actions and decisions and those of their kingdom. Now, I'm not responsible for them. I'm responsible to them. Yet if my vision, and this is when I talk to CEOs who say, I don't know why my company is struggling. It's right here. They're not leading by example, and they're not accepting responsibility for their distributors. Because the vision comes from them down. Well, the leaders, right? Each leader is their own little kingdom, and I let them control it. No, that's not how that works, Skippy. You're the one that your name's on the building. You're the one who is the one for the publicly traded company or the private company or for the investors. You're the one responsible for all who are involved. And if the if the inmates are running the prison, that's your fault. Legendary sovereigns, King Arthur, Queen Elizabeth, Nelson Mandela. You understand who these are. Nelson, 20 years in prison, came out and became the president of his country. Embodied chivalry. King Arthur, round table, symbolized equality and shared leadership. Right? The visionary leader seeing beyond the horizons. Imagine that. Just close your eyes for a second. Think about a sunset. What's beyond the horizon of that sunset? Next time you see a sunset, you may wonder, what's on the other side of that? I had a great experience when we were in Montana recently and sitting out watching because there's zero light pollution and looking up at the stars from sitting on the porch. And there's the top of the house, the roof of the house, and watching the stars get closer to the house. I don't know how many thousands or millions or tens of millions of years of light years away those are. But what I realized is that we were rotating. We were rotating into a sunrise. The sun is out there. We are rotating into a sunrise. We're rotating in the stars, and the stars are moving this way, and the stars aren't moving, we're moving. So I want you to begin to think about beyond the horizon of where you're currently going. In our goal setting conversations, you've heard me ask, what are the why questions? I want to get to $10,000 a month. Why? What's the benefit of that? Well, I could pay off my credit card debt. Well, who benefits from that? What do you mean? I do. Who else? Well, the credit card companies, sure. Who inside the credit card companies benefit? Well, I don't know. The CEO, probably. Does customer service get to keep their job even though they don't get to call you anymore? That's expanding beyond the horizon. Does that make sense? Inspiring others, helping others, mentor them, expand their vision. And even the state of a sovereign does need to have some strategy. Accountability, empowering others, ethical leadership. Sovereigns own their decisions, good or bad. Right? What does Napoleon Hill say? One of the first things you do is begin immediately where you are. If the plan that you have, if the strategy you have doesn't perform, you can change it, but begin immediately. Leaders are quick to make solid decisions and very slow to change them. So what would be the time frame for a quick decision, and what would be the time frame for slow to change? You know what, when we talk about network marketing, since I have some experience in that, the average person is 90 days in the company. Then they switch. We say, give it a year. Give it 2 years. If you had to give it 2 years, if you had to do 2 years' time, would you do it so that it's painful or that it has some productivity to it? But if you're doing it for 90 days, it's flash in the pan. It's, hey, listen, you want to have a good time? Let's go have a good time. All right, see you. Bye. The crown of leadership empowers others. It's ethical leadership. Integrity is non-negotiable. How many have dealt with people? This goes back to Jim Rohn's phrase. What's Jim Rohn saying? Never do a good deal with a bad person. Maintain your integrity. Maintain the words you say. Be the example of what it is. You identify chaos. Recognize areas of disorder, not just the disorder, areas of what is the cause of the disorder, not just fix the disorder. They pinpoint where structure is needed, design systems, clear process. You may not understand how to design a system, but I promise you, as the sovereign, somebody who understands how to design the system will show up if you allow them. They oversee execution of the new systems. How many of us have said, well, I'm going to go build my email list, and you have yet to build your email list? This is the sovereign's responsibility. You can't just pass it off and go, hey, listen, email person, you make up the email. They don't know what to do. They need your direction. Balancing power with compassion, authority, and empathy. Decision-making, consideration of others. Many of us make decisions without the regard of others. When I was vice president of sales, operating from a employee standpoint, at that time, I had never had a job prior to that. That was my first job, was vice president of sales of a $200 million network marketing company. I think the pay was, I don't know, 150, 160. I'd never had gotten a paycheck before. I'd always been the entrepreneur. I thought it was kind of cool that I only had to work half a day. It was a pay cut, but nonetheless, it was an experience. I got paid to go be a VP. I realized that I came with an understanding of consideration of making decisions for others because I was responsible for the bottom line of my company. Oh, and I promise you, I made decisions that wrecked the bottom line of my company because I thought it was the best thing for the company. You go into the restaurant business, you will learn real quick that you can screw up a whole shift by making a poor decision, right? That didn't involve others. The shadow sovereign. Beware of excessive control or micromanagement. If somebody is in a micromanagement, they keep checking, they keep checking, they keep checking, they keep checking. They're not letting you run your potential. That's a shadow sovereign. Regularly seeing feedback from a trusted advisor. Hey, tell me how that worked. Well, how'd that go? Did this? Own the damn thing. It's your thought, it's your desire, it's your want, your wishes. Own it and move on. Make a mistake and then fix it. Chances are you won't make mistakes. You'll find the ways to make that work from the very get-go. Actively participate in putting in others' shoes. Empathy. Right? Can you even comprehend what it feels like for them to ask for help? For them to ask for direction? Overcoming isolation, the connected sovereign, building bridges, active listening. Most of us really suck at active listening. What? Yeah, we really are not good at active listening. Stephen Covey said, seek first to understand, then be understood. Too many of us, listen, if you just let me explain it, you'll get it. No, that doesn't work that way. That's like saying to a second grader, you should know what 2 + 2 is or 2 × 2. It's the same. It's the same thing. I don't understand multiplication. Well, if you just be quiet enough, you'll learn it. No, it doesn't work that way. The adaptable sovereign. I want you to look at the tree real quick. All right, you see the roots? You see the branches up top? You know that phrase, as above, so below? That's where this comes from. As above, so below. So many of us are focused on the branches and the fruits of our labor. We're not paying attention to the roots. I don't know if it's a Chinese proverb or an Indian proverb. It says, for every 100 people hacking at the leaves of your success, it only takes one hacking at your roots to kill your dreams. Sovereign pays attention to the environment, anticipates the future trends. They gather diverse perspectives, value different viewpoints, Somebody hacking at the roots, maybe they don't know they're hacking at the roots, killing the success. They're just busy hacking because they said, get out there and hack away. You could be killing your own tree. Doing. If you don't know why you're doing, implement with flexibility, introduce change gradually when possible, and be open to adjustments. How many of you have ever been told, clean your room? And you said, screw you and the horse you came in on? Probably not out loud. You'd probably be talking out the other side of your head. But if you said, I'm going to clean my room, and you went and you did it and you felt good and you're like, you worked hard for it and yay, you did it. Leadership inspires people to take action. They want to, because they know what? If they get recognition from the sovereign, man, life is awesome. How many people are getting recognition from the warrior? Just keep fighting. You're doing a good job fighting. When do they get a pat on the back? When does the sovereign say, hey, thanks for being part of the kingdom? Kind of cool when you start to look at the way we use language based upon the archetype. The sovereign balancing combines visionary leadership with courage to take action, protects and fights for their ideals, right? Imagine having your warrior at your back as the sovereign. How about the lover? Fosters connections and loyalty. How many people in your life right now, how many people can you count on one hand, or maybe two hands or three hands, that would pick you up at the airport at 2 a.m? Y'all got some. Y'all got some. Yeah, nod your head. You got some people who pick you up at 2 a.m. They may give you gruff and grief, but they'd pick you up because it's your sovereign and lover that has fallen in love with them. And they've fallen in love with your lover. And they're coming to pick you up because, yes, you asked for help. I will serve you. Now, there's some people who'd call me at 2 a.m. I go, listen, I'll pay for your Uber. Y'all know people like that in your world? They can call me. I'll pay for your Uber. Just don't make me get out of bed. I ain't getting out of bed. Maybe you love them enough and they love you enough that they will take it. Like, what, dude, just come get me. No, dude, I'm sending you an Uber. And then the sovereign magician blends leadership with wisdom and intuition. You see why and how you need all of these as part of your life? Cultivating the sovereign wisdom, continuous learning, reflective practice, seeking control, learning from mistakes. Most of us don't. How many of us have repeated the same thing over and over and over and maybe over again and maybe over again and maybe a different version of it over again? This time it's got lipstick on it over again because we're not learning from our mistakes. We analyze them objectively. We will study the heck out of failure, but we don't study success, and we keep repeating failure over failure, and we're not studying it in a way to succeed. We're studying in a way to blame. Does that make sense? So, a couple more slides and we're done. Sovereign legacy building for vision casting. How many people are following your vision? What? How many people are following your vision? Has your vision cast big enough, strong enough, a wide enough net that other people go, I want some of that? That's what Joseph McClellan III says. If you can speak and you can encourage people to go, I want some of that. I want some of you. If you're not doing that, you have a chance to do that because you are needed. I can promise you, you are needed. I know you are needed. If you're here, you're needed. Sustainable systems, mentorship, cultivate the next generation of leaders, embody your values, lead from your core. If I were to ask one of your friends, one of your social media, what do they stand for? What would they say? If you think nobody could really give you should ask, what do you think I stand for? You want a little bit of a gut check? Go ask on your social media. I was challenged on a call today. I was challenged on a conversation today to ask you, what do you believe I stand for? You might get a variety. You may get the same answer from everybody, the same thing. Hey, congratulations. But if not, you might not be operating from your empowered sovereign. So there you go. Thank you, Maureen, for reminding me I didn't finish my task. So there you go. Questions, comments, thoughts. What's your takeaways? Would you learn? Would you like? What's your aha? Yes, Maureen, go ahead. Good to see you. Back from whatever global travels you've been on.
Oh, no kidding. Boy, I tell you, you have a wonderful way of putting things together, and this is very, very informative. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You are welcome, welcome, welcome.
Nice to be back. Really nice to be back. So that's basically just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
You are welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, and glad you're back. Thank you for spending some time with me. I know if you've on your recent return, it's there's lots to do. So thanks for giving me some of your time while you're reorganizing and getting everything back into flow again. I appreciate it. Who else? Thoughts, comments, questions, takeaways, either from Disempowered yesterday, if you happen to watch the videos, or from the Empowered conversation today.
Hi, Sean.
Hey, Diane, how are you?
Good, thank you. I mean, I've gone through this before, but where you did the Disempowered and then today, it really delved in deeper than before.
Yeah.
It's really made. So thank you for that. I'm going to have to look at the notes again and go through it more. It's a lot of. Well, thank you, and you just dissected it so, like Maureen said, it's so well to be understandable.
One of the things that I learned is I'm usually operating from state. And so I'll mountaintop peak to mountaintop peak to mountaintop peak. And I said, I have to become more strategic in some of the presentations. So I got a little bit deeper into some of the nuts and bolts of it. And I wasn't sure if it made sense or not, because I was listening to my intuitive. So I'm glad it made sense. I'm glad it worked. So
Thank you.
Yes, Michael.
Hey, Sean. So I joined today because I wanted to understand my lover better. And we were talking earlier this morning, and funny enough, I found a book, and it's actually on these four archetypes. It was like I'll send you the author. I'm not sure if you heard of it, but then I uploaded it to ChatGPT, had it summarize it, and I actually dove into like the lover, and I just had chat ask me like 20 questions, right? So I spent like 2 hours just journaling about the lover, and I discovered that I do have this fear that I'm not worthy of love. And so I just wanted to see if you could help walk me through this, because that's kind of the reason I'm here right now.
Okay. What's your question?
I don't know.
Okay. So if your lover asked the question, what would be the question your lover would want to ask?
So there's this, the two fears I have, right? Fear of disappointing my parents and the fear of not being worthy of love, right? So
Isn't it the same thing? The fear of disappointing your parents would be losing their love.
yeah, fear of loss of love of my parents, right?
So do they not love you now?
They love me now.
And have you failed at things?
I have experienced temporary defeat, but I have not failed.
Okay, so temporary defeat. So you've had temporary defeat, and have they loved you any less because of those temporary defeats?
No, there's been times where we got closer
So
during
then
those times.
then pay attention. Who's not paying attention to that when you do suffer temporary setbacks, your love grows even stronger. Why would you think you would lose it? If your evidence shows that it grows stronger sometimes. It hasn't gotten any less. So
Yeah.
where's this fear that you're going to lose it? Who's it's not your lover then. Who's the one saying that you're going to lose their love? Who is that? Ask your lover. You and me are talking right now. You and me, lover, we're talking, and you just proved that when I've had temporary setbacks, we've gotten even closer. We love each other even more. I love them more. They love me more. So love isn't the thing that I'm afraid to lose. Who is saying that emotional trigger could have, and it hasn't. There's no evidence that they've lost any love for me. Who is saying that? Ask.
Who is saying that? So I don't have a name for it yet, but it just you know that pain body that Eckhart
Mhm.
Tolle talks about?
Yep.
It's like you can get triggered and all of a sudden you're in that pain
So
body.
give it a name. You give it a name. It doesn't have a name. You give it a name.
It's like I would call it root or yeah, because it feels like it's in my core, like
Okay, so
on the
say
top.
root. I need root to step out and step over to the side.
All right, so I need root to step out and step over to the side.
Did it?
No.
Okay, then have your warrior say it. I'm about to kick your ass, jerk you out of here. Get the hell over there and stand on the side. I need you out of me right now so I can have a intellectual, I can have an emotional conversation with myself.
All right, I'm about to kick your ass right now. You gotta step out and step over and get to the side. All right.
What do you
I don't
feel?
know if it's there or not.
Okay, so this is what you need to work on. This is so deeply rooted
Hmm.
in who you believe you are that you are ordering it, and the one that is ordering it has no authority over the you. Love isn't the thing. Love isn't what you have. Don't you realize you have evidence that it's even grown in temporary setback?
Yeah, yeah.
So why would you even say you're not worthy of love?
I mean, that's a great point.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? That's why I'm here. This is why this is why I'm on this side of the screen.
Yeah. It just happens throughout the day where I just get triggered and all of a sudden
No, you don't. You don't. It
it's
is allowed to expand. It's not being triggered. You're not focused enough on what you want, and you have a situation that says this is what I default to. It's called your default mode network.
okay. Yeah, I would agree with that.
So now it's your programming. So you now need to write down your gratitude for your pain body, your root. Do 10 gratitudes for root. It makes you aware. It makes you realize that you get stuck during the day. It's not always, but it's just a breath away for when you lose focus. He goes, ta-da, I'm here. You suck. I'm in charge.
Hmm. Okay. So gratitude for root.
Gratitude for root.
All right.
And what do you want in place of it?
Well, I like the state I was in at the beginning of the call. I was
Okay.
super pumped.
So then who decided you should leave that state? Root.
Great question. Hmm. Well, I just don't think I decided. I think I drifted and then
Okay, so but somebody had to, even in a car, if you drift, you fall asleep. Who fell asleep?
okay.
Somebody gave up
Yeah.
control.
Yeah, I feel
Period.
like I was in my empowered warrior and then it just was like I'm done. And
So
then
your empowered warrior became disempowered and root took over
yeah.
because root is stronger than a disempowered warrior.
Hmm.
These are the dialogues that we have to have this forensic analysis of conversation. Okay, so if that happened, what allowed that to happen? If that was what happened, something there's a pattern here.
Hmm.
This is why you might need some mentorship. This is why you might need a little bit more advanced conversation in the program.
Hmm.
Heather, Amber, Diane, I'll use all of the names. Amber, Rose, Ruth, Maureen. Amber, are you hearing any word in particular for Michael? And you might not be. You might just have, but you've been here for a little bit. But
Yeah. So Michael, when you were talking about disappointing your parents,
Hmm.
I had a visual of you. Let me say this differently. Do you remember disappointing yourself?
I yeah, there's been times I had expectations and it didn't go as what I expected. So I was disappointed, right? And then I would say the ants came, you know.
So allowing your healer, your magician, I don't know if you have a healer along with your magician,
Hmm.
to heal those moments.
Okay.
That's a process. I'm not saying it just
Yeah.
moved right now. I mean, your magician could, I know.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing. some of
Okay.
the things.
So my healer, right? That's what you
Well,
said.
so create a new archetype that's your healer,
Okay.
right? What would they sound like? What would they look like? Where would they live in your body?
Hmm. Like right in my heart.
Okay,
Right.
so then you have to activate it. What does the healer sound like? What is the move of the healer, right? Physiology, focus, language, and meaning. We have to add movement.
Yeah, I'm thinking of that, when you're doing the priming, right? You
Mhm.
flush it down and then out, right? So it goes,
Okay.
I'm
So that's
thinking.
your healer. So now heal this idea that you have of the painful love or the pain of lack of love.
Mhm.
What would that look like?
Um, well, it would look like the car exhaust. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Okay. Yep.
bring in some good new energy and then you really like get it out of you.
I love it. So tell me how old you are right now.
24.
So you've had this feeling for 24 years. What do you think? How long do you think it'll take for you to reverse those 24 years? If you did it unconsciously, effortlessly, and you did it out of rote and out of root and out of survival, how long, what do you think it'll take? That's a decision up to you because you can make the decision today to switch this identity. The challenge is that if Michael is a loving entity and able to be loved and lovable, you got a whole new identity. People aren't going to recognize you and you'll fall back into addiction to approval. So this is especially with it or being around love, there's a tremendous amount of energy necessary. You're going to use a tremendous amount of brain capacity to create the new neural networks.
Mhm.
Right? When you're working out, you have to be constantly saying, I'm in love with this. I'm in love with the body that's showing up. Not that I'm going to have abs and chicks think I'm hot, right? Because if that was the case for me, I'd still be single. So you've got to have this identity. You got to start to create this new identity that you're lovable, that and be aware of love because it's such a strong emotion. When you say I am lovable, there's going to be situations where you are going to be loved and you're like, what the heck is that?
Mhm.
Don't let your wounded warrior, your disempowered warrior go. We know we don't need any of that. I don't need to deal with that right now. No, it's just the universe saying, hey, listen, we're just going to show you that you're lovable.
Okay. Okay. So ideally, I'd like the right now.
So then look at everything that happens to you, through you, and with you, that it's a form of love.
Okay. So that's what when you say, how some people get on the calls and they start talking to you funky, or you just know that's not them, and you're like, oh, I love you.
I love you. You know, I love you, right? Are you ready for the love? That's exactly it. This is where every one of your businesses could double, triple, quadruple is if you're ready for the love. The only thing holding you back is not your business model.
Mhm.
It's not your customers. It's not your bank account. It's not your credit cards. The only thing holding you back is you.
Mhm.
That's it. There is nothing else. There is nothing else other than you. And it's the identity you choose, which is why journaling, which is why DMP, which is why definite chief aim, which is why definite major purpose, which is why EFT, which is why it's dual talk, self-talk. You are in a battle bigger. You're in a 24-year-old battle that you could win today. I put a gun to your mom's head. You will shift things instantly, won't you? You will do
Yeah.
the uncomfortable without a shadow of a doubt. It's called leverage. The challenge is we can't get enough leverage on ourselves.
Mhm.
We can't. We just don't. Oh, okay, I'm going to do it. We make big decisions at an event, and then soon as you leave this environment, your disempowered warrior goes, "Whew, glad that's over, man. I was on the spot. I was uncomfortable. I felt weird." Because you feel weird, you feel like you're on the spot, and you're wondering, going, "Okay, I want to make these changes. I can make these changes, but I don't really believe I can make these changes."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel all right. All right. I feel better than when I was talking about Rue. It was when we were talking about the ending, we've been on here for an hour and a half, let's say, and then that was disempowered, and then I feel better than that. But beginning of the call, I was really pumped.
How
So
much at the beginning of the call and the end of the call, how much did I have of influence over that? Say 0 real quick because I
0.
had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it was all me. It was all me.
It's
So,
all you. And when you understand it's all you, guess what? You can be all you.
yeah.
Oh, that means I gotta take responsibility. My ability to respond. So respond to everything with love.
Okay, okay.
No, not okay. I love that.
I love that.
And just this is why you hear me say to people first time I see them, hey, I love you. I love you too. They respond, did I just say, oh crap, I don't know I can say that. I'm not supposed to be able to say that. I was taught never to say that. I can't say I love you to a guy I don't know. How is that possible? I'm a guy. I'm a married woman. How am I going to tell you I love you? And that's supposed to be only for reserved for my, no, if you say you love God, if you love your dog, if you love this, what's the difference? You being in love doesn't mean you have to love me. It's you love you with me. I love you when I'm with you.
So you love, so when you're in your best state, you are looking at everything like from a state of love. You're like, I love, because when you're looking at things and you're condemning them, really it's just a reflection of who you are on the inside at the moment, right? So if I'm not looking, so as long as I'm looking at things on the outside as love, then I know the inside I'm ready for the love.
Somebody harms somebody, I don't say I love that. I go, isn't that fascinating? I love that experience so that I know how that feels and I can choose to make sure I never put that on somebody. I love that I can make that I'm now aware of that particular scenario that happened. That's a fascinating experience that I love, that I can make sure that I always present it in love and not the way that was presented.
Okay. Okay, cool. I can do this.
It's already done.
Yep, it's already done. All right, thank you, Sean. I really appreciate that.
I love it. Anyone else? Thoughts, comments, questions?
Sean, really quick, do you mind if I ask Michael a question?
Please go ahead.
Michael, do you know in your ancestry who was a healer?
I have ancestry.com so I can look at that.
But a healer, like, do you know? Did you meet your grandmas, great grandmas? So you have
not in my grandparents.
So you have someone in your ancestry line who was a healer, because when Sean said, what does your healer look like, sound like? I immediately saw someone from in your ancestry. I didn't know if it was a grandma or great grandma.
Okay.
And she's there with you. So these archetypes are a part of us, right? They're us. Who makes up us? Those that came before us. So we have, and Sean talks about, right, our castles and kingdoms and other kingdoms. And very specifically, though, she wants you to know that she is here to be a part of your healer, not help your healer, not help you. She is a part of your healer. It's very powerful.
Okay. Okay, great. I'll look into it because I have ancestry.com and I'll see. So
awesome.
I'll let you know. Thank you.
You could also go to the source, ask your parents.
Yeah. Like I'll ask my dad today. I'll text you today when I have it.
Cool. Maureen, go ahead.
Okay, so thank you, Michael, for being so vulnerable. And what it brought up with me is where does my inner child fit into this? Because my inner child, there's a lot of energy around that little girl that goes, I don't wanna. No. And she feels overwhelmed a lot, even though there's nothing to feel overwhelmed about. And I get that it's all me doing that, but okay, go ahead. Yeah, where's my inner child fit in all this?
So turn your inner child, turn the little girl into a princess. Because she needs recognition. And when she says, I don't want to, and you go, but there's nothing really to do, that's two people in that conversation.
Right.
Right. That's the adult going, it's not a problem. The challenge the little child has, or the princess has, is that it's being asked to do things it has no idea how to do. What if you said to the inner child, what if you said to the little princess, hey, listen, I know I'm asking you and you don't want to do it. What would make you want to do it? See, we don't ask the next question. We go, just shut up and do it. What if we asked, hey, I'm curious. You see other people having fun. There's a part of you that says either you're not going to get the recognition, or when you have done it and you have stretched your capabilities and capacities, you weren't recognized for it. What if that changed today? And it's literally a dialogue. It has to be a dialogue, not a monologue. Not the parent going, listen, you want something to cry about? I'll give you something to cry about. So ask, what would you want to do? Forget that I've asked you. What would you want to do? The thing you don't want to do, what do you want to do? And if the answer comes back, I don't know, I kind of think you do. You might be scared to request it. You might be scared to open it up. And that's why we have both the male and the female prince and princess. So have the prince version, the prince age, similar age, the twin, right? The biological twins, right? Male and female, whatever they're called, not identical, biological, I think it's called. But have the prince come and talk. You go talk to the prince, go, hey, listen, why is your sister so cranky? Why she feel like somebody put gum in her hair? And see what the male version says.
I do that. I do that in my journaling. And but I was wondering where that inner child energy fits into these 4 archetypes, or is it a different
no,
one?
it does. It's a different archetype. It's the prince and princess. Now imagine if your warrior comes and talks to the princess, different dialogue than if the lover shows up to talk to the princess. Now, typically what we do, and typically where they feel isolated, is usually when I'm working with somebody and one of their archetypes has gone round the bend off the range, is I say, hey, listen, the archetype needs a break. Go get your prince and princess, have them come in, go to the balloon factory and the slide factory and the ball pit, and just go play for a little bit with your prince and princess. A lot of the times, the responsibility of the prince and princess is simply to bring joy. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to do the archetype stuff. All their responsibility is to be love, joy, happy, butterflies, go chase butterflies, blow bubbles, ride the donkey, go around on the circle horse pony, and do all of the fun stuff. Hide and seek. A lot of times I'll have somebody, I'll say, listen, go play hide and seek. Just while we're talking, let's go work with the other 3 archetypes and have that archetype go play hide and seek. And usually it's the warrior. Okay, bring the warrior down to a respectable size, not 700 feet tall, because it's scaring the crap out of the prince and princess. And they shrink down the warrior, and all of a sudden there's this shift in energy, and you can literally watch them on the screen, and their whole body goes, whoosh. And off that archetype goes. And about 20 minutes into the conversation, there usually is interruption going, hey, wait a minute, my lover archetype is back. Really? Why? They got tattoos on their face and the drawings, and they got ribbons in their hair, and they're just it's like they're cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. And the energy that brings back into the castle, into the kingdom, is just unbelievable when you watch that happen. So maybe your archetype, this little girl, needs to go teach people how to have fun again. Because you don't want to do grown-up stuff. Let her go do kid stuff. Go play in the sandbox. Go see how much sand you can stuff down your pants. Right? It's literally, it has to be that off the wall. Go see how many worms you can put in your pocket. Right? Or bring back, curl your shirt like it to hold eggs and see how many frogs you can stuff in it. What? It's got to be that off the range. You have to go off the range, because otherwise you're staying in a similar pattern, and that similar energy is at a subconscious level. When you go, That's weird for me. Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, that's really weird for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I gotta go make mud pies, huh?
There you go.
Yeah.
Snack on them. We had fence posts. We had the horses, so we always used to put mud pies up on top of the fence.
And dribble them down?
Yeah, just you had to get them so wet they were wet enough that you can form them, but not wet enough that they sagged all over the thing. So yeah, we learned how to make bricks. My dad would go, why is there mud on top of all of the fence posts? I don't know. Well, he knew exactly why. So there you go.
Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have an incredible, fun-filled day, the rest of your Friday and the rest of your weekend. If you'd like to learn more about it and, again, take advantage of the 50% off, the half off kind of deal in the next 24 hours, for those of you also watching on YouTube, please reach out to me. You can find me on any of the social medias. You can also reach me at SeanGMurphyNow@gmail.com, and in the subject line, put archetypes. And we'll talk about it. We'll have a conversation, see if it's a fit for you. And if it is, then we'll proceed accordingly. All right, everybody. I love you. Tons. Go ahead. Somebody. What? Nope. Okay. I hope you have an incredible day. I'm your head brain training archetype manifesting misfit. I'll see y'all where?
The next event.
The next event.
Yay. All right, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.